There is a big difference between wanting out and actually making your way out when nobody can get you on the phone. And the Brandon Aiyuk saga just took another wild turn. Even teams that might have interest are reportedly having trouble reaching him. At the same time, the 49ers added 2 players on one-year deals. They are still searching for a possible tight end answer, and they are defending a draft pick near the top of the second round that has a lot of fans talking. So if you are part of the faithful, hit subscribe right now, because today in Santa Clara, this is all about silence, pressure, and high-stakes decisions. Now let's get right into the part that hits the nerve, because the Brandon Aiyuk situation has moved way beyond a normal offseason rumor. Adam Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show and added another layer to the drama. According to Schefter, it is not only the 49ers having trouble getting in touch with Aiyuk. Other teams that may be interested are also trying to reach him, and they are running into that same wall. And for a situation that was already complicated, that feels like slamming the brakes in the middle of the road. Schefter said everybody knows Aiyuk is not coming back to San Francisco. The 49ers are ready to move forward, and they have made it clear they would trade the receiver for whatever return they can get. But the problem is not whether another team likes the talent. When Aiyuk is healthy, locked in, and playing with confidence, he is a real difference maker. The problem is everything attached to the talent. The contract, the injury, the voided guarantees, the lack of communication, and a relationship with the franchise that feels broken. And that contract is not light. Aiyuk signed a 4-year, $120 million extension before the 2024 season, but those guarantees were later voided. Under the current structure, a team trading for him could be looking at a $13.6 million cap hit next season, and potentially more than $27 million in non-guaranteed cash, largely because of a $24.9 million option bonus in 2026. Now add the communication problem on top of that. Who is going to trade for an expensive player coming off a serious injury when they cannot even have a real conversation with him about the plan, the role, the money, and whether he wants to be there? That is why the 49ers' position makes sense, even if it feels uncomfortable to watch. Schefter said there is a belief out there that Aiyuk would like to be released, so he could possibly join his former college teammate Jaden Daniels in Washington. But San Francisco has no reason to make this easy for free. If Aiyuk wants out, talking would help open that door. If another team wants to trade for him, that team needs to feel like a serious conversation is possible. And if the 49ers want anything back, they cannot just give away a talented player because the situation has become exhausting. The tough part is how bitter this feels now. Aiyuk used to represent trust. He used to represent explosiveness. He used to represent the dream of a complete 49ers offense. Now the story is silence, money, injury, and a stalemate. And for a team that still wants to contend, this kind of drama cannot take over the building. Lynch and Shanahan have to protect the players who are actually present, the offense that will actually play, and the authority of the organization. Aiyuk may want distance from Santa Clara, but distance without dialogue only makes the exit harder. Right now, his silence may be damaging the exact market that could set him free. While the Aiyuk story sits in that strange silence, the 49ers did what a serious team has to do at the end of April. They kept working the edges of the roster instead of waiting for every problem to solve itself. On Tuesday afternoon, San Francisco announced 2 one-year signings, running back Sincere McCormick and safety Patrick McMorris. McCormick spent time on the Niners practice squad last season, so there is some familiarity there. But the name that grabs more attention, because of pure need, is McMorris. And that is not because McMorris walks in as some instant savior. He comes in because the safety room needed more bodies in competition. A lot of fans and analysts expected the 49ers to address safety in the draft. They did not. San Francisco went through the draft without adding one, and John Lynch had already suggested another body could be added after it. Now McMorris gets a chance to enter that battle, and the first read is honest. This is competition, not a final solution. McMorris has a path that Bay Area college football fans may know. He came out of California, was selected by the Giants in the 6th round of the 2024 draft, and as a rookie, he played 106 snaps, mostly on special teams. On defense, he played just 7 snaps at free safety and 1 at nickel. Last year, he did not record a regular season snap in the NFL. In the preseason, he played 112 snaps, including 58 at free safety. So yes, there is some field experience there, but there is not a proven regular season track record yet. The athletic detail is what makes him interesting. At Cal's Pro Day in March of 2024, he ran a 4.29 in the 20-yard shuttle. That would have been the second fastest time among defensive backs in that draft class. That kind of number points to change of direction, short area quickness, reaction ability, and body control. For a safety, those traits matter. But a testing number does not win a roster spot by itself. He still has to show processing, angles, communication, contact courage, and special teams value. At the back end of the roster, every single rep is an interview. McCormick's signing follows that same kind of thinking. It is a short-term running back deal with a familiar player, giving him a chance to prove he can provide depth and usefulness if training camp gets tight. It is not a flashy move, it is roster survival. And that is exactly where the 49ers have to be cold. A team with title ambition cannot ignore holes and hope they do not turn into fires in September. McMorris may not be the last addition before camp, and I would not be shocked if San Francisco keeps searching at safety. But at least now that room has another real competition. After a draft with no safety selected, that competition was already needed. Now we have a topic that does not come with an official announcement, but it absolutely comes from a real roster concern. The 49ers went through the draft without taking a tight end. In a deep tight end class, San Francisco never pulled the trigger. Maybe the run happened before they wanted it to. Maybe the value never lined up, but the result is the same. That room still needs an answer, especially because George Kittle is on a delicate timeline after the Achilles tear. And when the conversation is about Kittle, it just feels heavier. He is not simply a target over the middle, he is energy, he is identity, he is blocking, he is force in the run game, he is a threat after the catch, he is the emotional thermometer of this offense. When Kittle is not out there, the 49ers do not just lose a tight end, they lose part of their personality. Jake Tonjes had a strong year in 2025, but his profile leans more toward receiving than blocking. And the difference showed when Kittle was out. The run game took a hit. The structure took a hit. The edge of the formation lost some of its force. Luke Farrell was supposed to help cover that gap as a blocker, but so far that move has not delivered what the team hoped for. So yes, the 49ers need to look outside. And one name that makes sense in that type of conversation is David Njoku. Not because of fantasy football hype, because of fit. Njoku is known as a solid receiver, but he has improved a lot as a blocker throughout his career. Last year, he worked more in a blocking role to complement Harold Fannin, who was more of the pass-catching option. That matters for San Francisco, because the need can change week to week depending on Kittle's recovery. That is where Njoku's value really shows up: flexibility. If Kittle needs more time, Njoku can handle meaningful snaps. If Kittle comes back sooner, Njoku can help in heavier packages, support the run game, and still give the offense another receiving threat. For Shanahan, that opens up designs. It opens up 12 personnel. It makes play action more believable. It gives the offense a chance to avoid becoming predictable, while the best tight end in franchise history is not at full strength. I want to hear from the 49ers empire on this one. Would you rather see Lynch go after a name like Njoku for immediate security? Or do you trust the current group to survive until Kittle is fully back? Because for me, if the window is still right now, tight end cannot become a passive gamble. Kittle deserves support, the run game needs presence, and Brock Purdy needs structure, not improvisation. And now comes the part that hits fan pride, because nobody likes hearing that their team reached in the draft. John Lynch has taken heat for some of the 49ers' 2026 picks, especially Kalen Black in the 3rd round, and De'Zhaun Stribling at number 33, the very first pick of the 2nd round. But the Stribling conversation needs more context before the fanbase buys the idea that it was an automatic mistake. The first-round sequence helps explain the tension. San Francisco traded down twice and did not make its first selection until number 33. Before that, the Cleveland Browns took Casey Concepcion, the Texas A&M wide receiver who had been heavily connected to Lynch and Shanahan in pre-draft reads. If Concepcion was one of the strong options on the 49ers board, losing him changed the picture. And if Stribling became the next plan, the team landed in an uncomfortable spot. Take him there, even knowing the public value might look high, or wait 37 picks until they were back on the clock and risk losing him completely. There is one detail that supports that idea. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network reported the 49ers were getting calls for pick number 33 before the round started. That suggests San Francisco explored another move down. Maybe the plan was to trade back and still land Stribling in a range that felt more comfortable. But the trade never showed up. And when the trade is not there, the front office has to decide whether to trust its own board or lose the player because it is scared of outside reaction. Lynch and Shanahan chose to trust their board. Can you criticize it? Absolutely. Stribling was widely viewed as a late second-round or early third-round pick at best. Taking him at 33 opens real questions. Fans have every right to ask why the team did not find more value, why another move down did not happen, and why that was the name at that spot. But it is also fair to understand that the word reach can change over time. If Stribling becomes an impact player in 2 years, nobody will care about an April ranking. If he fails, then yes, that criticism will hit hard, because the context itself suggests the 49ers may have known the value there was not perfect. My read as a relentless Niners defender is simple. I am not condemning the pick before the field gets a say, but I am also not pretending the pressure is not real. Pick 33 demands an answer. It demands quick development. It demands that Stribling prove why San Francisco chose to secure the player instead of playing the risk game. The draft is not won on analyst consensus. It is won when the player starts changing games. And now Stribling carries that exact mission. In the end, today's 49ers story makes one thing very clear. This roster is being pushed toward decisions that cannot drag on forever. Aiyuk needs a solution, and the silence only makes everything heavier. McCormick and McMorris are here to fight for space, but that depth still has to prove it has real value. The David Njoku idea shows tight end remains a real concern while Kittle recovers. And Stribling, whether you like the value or not, now has to justify the trust. Hit like, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us because the faithful know. In Santa Clara, a promise only matters when it turns into impact.